I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with it for a second. When is the last time you actually felt relaxed? Not just distracted, not just busy enough to forget, but genuinely, deeply calm. Because if you've been on this fertility journey for any length of time, the answer is probably not recently, maybe not for a long time. And here's what I need you to understand today. That feeling, that constant low hum of worry, of watching your calendar, of wondering, of hoping, of being disappointed, it's not just hard emotionally, it's physically happening inside your body right now. And it's showing up in your blood, in your hormones, and in your eggs. A 2025 study, brand new research, has given us some of the clearest evidence yet of exactly how chronic stress damages egg quality at the cellular level. And today, I'm going to walk you through what that study found, what it means for your body, and what you can actually do about it. Because here's what I know after 24 years of working with women in this space. Most of the time, stress is not the only reason you're not getting pregnant, but it is almost always making every other thing much harder to fix. Hi, I'm Dr. Marc Sklar, the fertility expert. I've helped thousands of women find the root causes of their fertility struggles and build real personalized plans to move forward, even when they were told there was nothing left to try. Before we get into this research, I want to make sure that you walk away from this video with something that you can actually use. I've put together a free training called Why You Are Still Not Pregnant. It's based on 24 years of working with women just like you, and it helps you understand what's actually going on and what to do about it, no matter where you are in your fertility journey. You can grab that in the description below. All right. Let's get into it now. Let me start with the study because I know some of you are going to really want to see the science. What this new research confirmed and built on from earlier findings is something that I've seen in my patients for years. When women are under chronic psychological stress, their levels of cortisol, the primary stress hormone, stay chronically elevated. And elevated cortisol does something very specific to the ovarian environment. Here's the simplified version. Your ovarian follicles, the little sacs where your eggs develop each month, are sensitive to cortisol. They have cortisol receptors. And when cortisol is chronically high, it interferes with the communication between your brain and your ovaries. Specifically, it suppresses the release of a hormone called GnRH, or gonadotropin releasing hormone, which is the signal your hypothalamus sends to start the reproductive cascade. Less GnRH means less FSH and LH. Less FSH and LH means the follicles don't develop as well. The egg inside that follicle matures in a compromised environment, and the quality of what comes out of that cycle, well, it's just lower. The 2025 study went further than this. It looked at oxidative stress markers inside the follicular fluid, the actual fluid that surrounds your developing eggs, in women with high cortisol compared to women with normal levels of cortisol. And what they found was a significantly higher of concentration of reactive oxygen species, the free radical damage that directly attacks egg DNA. And this was higher in the high cortisol group. This is huge because it explains something that we've been observing clinically for years, why some women seem to have unexplained poor egg quality or unexplained low embryo quality or repeated failed cycles, even when their AMH is decent and their ovaries look okay on the ultrasound. The problem isn't quantity. It's what's happening inside the follicular environment while those eggs are developing. And that environment is being shaped by your stress hormones. So inside the HOPE program, we don't just look at standard reproductive hormones. We use the advanced functional testing that shows not just your cortisol levels, but your cortisol pattern throughout the day and how your adrenals are functioning. Because this is exactly the kind of root cause data that most fertility clinics never look at. and it changes everything about how we build your specific protocol. Now, I want to take this one level deeper because I think it's important for you to understand not just what's happening, but why it keeps happening even when you're trying to manage your stress. There's a system in your body called the HPA Axis. That stands for hypothalamic pituitary adrenal. It's basically your stress response command center. When you encounter something stressful, your brain signals the hypothalamus, which signals the pituitary, which tells the adrenal glands to release cortisol. It's a cascade of events. In a healthy system, this cascade activates, you handle the stressor, and then it shuts off. Cortisol drops back down, your body returns to baseline. But here's what's happening in chronic stress, which is what most of you are living in right now. The HPA axis gets stuck in the on position. The cortisol never fully drops. The feedback loop that should tell your brain, okay, you're safe, you can stop now, that stops working properly. And when that happens, your body makes a choice, a survival choice. Progesterone, one of the key hormones for fertility, for implantation, for sustaining a pregnancy, is actually a precursor to cortisol. Your body can convert progesterone into cortisol when it needs to. So when your stress response is chronically activated, your body essentially steals progesterone to make more cortisol. This is what practitioners sometimes call cortisol steal or the pregnenolone steal. And the result? Lower progesterone, shorter luteal phases, difficulty sustaining implantation. At the same time, and this is important, chronically elevated cortisol suppresses thyroid function. It increases inflammation, it disrupts your circadian rhythm, which affects melatonin, which also plays a role in egg quality. These systems are not separate. They are interconnected, and stress is pulling on all of them simultaneously. I had a member who came into the program with what looked like a straightforward low progesterone issue. Her luteal phase was short. She had spotting before her period. But when we ran her Dutch test, her cortisol pattern showed she was in severe HPA axis dysregulation. Her body was in full-on survival mode. And until we addressed that, until we actually supported her nervous system and her adrenal function, the progesterone wasn't going to hold. 3 months of targeted support, nervous system regulation, specific adaptogen supplementation, sleep optimization, dietary changes to stabilize blood sugar, and her progesterone numbers were the best they'd ever been. Her luteal phase extended by 4 days, and she got pregnant that cycle. I share that because I want you to understand this is not about just telling you to calm down. This is about identifying the specific dysregulation in your system and addressing it directly with real tools. Let's get even more specific about what's happening to your eggs. Inside each follicle, your eggs are supported by specialized cells called granulosa cells. These cells are responsible for nurturing the developing egg, providing nutrients, regulating hormones, and protecting the egg from damage. Think of them as the egg's support team. Cortisol directly impairs granulosa cell function. It reduces their ability to produce estradiol, which is needed for proper egg maturation. It increases the production of inflammatory signals inside the follicle, and it reduces the expression of certain antioxidant enzymes that would normally protect the egg from oxidative stress damage. Now, mitochondria. I want to talk about this specifically because it comes up constantly in the conversation about egg quality, and for good reason. Your eggs have more mitochondria than almost any other cell in the human body. Mitochondria are the energy generators. They power every cell process, including the divisions that happen immediately after fertilization. When mitochondrial function is compromised, fertilization rates go down. Embryo development suffers. The chance of chromosomal abnormalities increases. So chronic cortisol, through its effect on oxidative stress, directly damages mitochondrial function in the oocytes. The 2025 research specifically flagged this. The reactive oxygen species that I mentioned earlier, they attack mitochondrial DNA. And mitochondrial DNA does not repair itself the way nuclear DNA does. The damage accumulates. This is why I always say you can't separate stress from egg quality. They are not two separate problems. They are one connected system. Here's the practical piece. This is also why CoQ10 is so important in the fertility supplement conversation. CoQ10 is the most powerful mitochondrial support supplement that we have. It acts as both an antioxidant and a mitochondrial fuel. When cortisol is driving oxidative damage to your eggs, CoQ10 is part of that counterbalance, if you will. At Rejuva, our egg quality formula includes CoQ10 specifically because of this connection. But supplementation alone is not the answer. If the cortisol fire is still burning, you're playing defense. You need to address the source. If what I'm describing sounds like your body, and I mean the chronic stress, the HPA dysregulation, the egg quality concerns, I want to invite you to take the next step. I've created a free training called Why You Are Still Not Pregnant that walks you through the most common root causes I see in my 24 years of practice, including this one, and it helps you understand where to start exactly for you. The link is in the description below. And if you're ready to go deeper, if you want someone to actually look at your case, your labs, your history, you can also apply for a fertility assessment discovery call with my team. That link is also in the description. We'll take a real look at what's going on and tell you honestly what we think the best next step is for you. Rejuva was designed to support egg and sperm health from the inside out. More vitality, more cellular strength, more fertility potential. It helps unlock better fertility by improving cellular energy, hormone balance, and overall reproductive wellness. Get yours using the link below. Okay, let's talk about what actually to do, because I never want to give you a problem without a solution. And this is where I want to be really clear. These are not generic stress management tips. These are targeted interventions that have a direct effect on your cortisol pattern, your HPA axis, and ultimately your egg quality as well. Okay, pillar number one is blood sugar stability. This is the one most people don't connect to cortisol, but it's absolutely critical. Every time your blood sugar drops, your body releases cortisol as a backup fuel source. If you're skipping meals, eating high carb without protein, or going long stretches without food, you are triggering cortisol spikes multiple times a day without even knowing it. The fix is straightforward. Eat within 30 to 60 minutes of waking. Every meal and snack should include protein. Never go more than 4 hours without eating during the day. This alone can dramatically stabilize your cortisol curve. The Dutch test is incredibly useful here because it shows us your cortisol at 4 points throughout the day. And often we can see clear blood sugar related spikes that are directly addressable through meal timing. Pillar number two, targeted adaptogenic support. Adaptogens are herbs with a well-researched ability to modulate the stress response. They help the HPA axis self-regulate. The ones I reach for most often in my clinical practice for adrenal and cortisol support are ashwagandha, which has some of the strongest research behind it for cortisol reduction and follicular health, and rhodiola, which is particularly effective for HPA axis burnout when cortisol is chronically low rather than high. Pillar three is sleep architecture and melatonin. Melatonin is having a moment in the fertility conversation right now, and for good reason. It's not just a sleep hormone. Melatonin is produced directly inside the ovarian follicles, where it acts as one of the most powerful antioxidants protecting your eggs from the oxidative damage we talked about earlier. But melatonin alone gets produced when your sleep is actually deep and your circadian rhythm is working properly. Chronic stress disrupts both. High evening cortisol, which is common in HPA dysregulation, suppresses melatonin production right at the time you need it most. So protecting your sleep is not optional. It's a fertility intervention. Practical steps are no screens after 9 p.m., setting your room temperature between 65 and 68 degrees, total darkness, and a wind-down routine that starts signaling your nervous system to shift out of sympathetic mode at least 60 minutes before bed. And if your Dutch test shows suppressed nighttime cortisol or disrupted melatonin, we add targeted support from there. Pillar four, nervous system regulation as a daily practice. This is one that most people try to shortcut. And it's the one that makes the biggest difference for most. Your nervous system is the root. Everything else we've talked about, the HPA axis, the cortisol pattern, the impact on your eggs, it all traces back to here. So nervous system regulation is not a spa day. It's a daily practice of sending deliberate signals to your brain that you are safe. And the reason this matters so much for fertility is that conception, at its biological core, requires your body to believe it is safe enough to sustain a pregnancy. Survival mode and optimal fertility are mutually exclusive. The practices that have the most clinical evidence behind them are, number one, diaphragmatic breathing exercises, specifically extended exhale breathing, which directly activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Daily gentle movement, not intense exercise, which can actually add cortisol load, but walking, yoga, light movement that signals safety. And for some of my members, working with a practitioner on somatic practices or even fertility hypnotherapy through resources like fertilityhopeyoga.com has truly been genuine and transformative for them. These 4 pillars are not separate. They work together, and they need to be calibrated to your specific cortisol pattern, which is why the Dutch test is so central to how we build protocols inside the HOPE program. Let me give you a practical action step before we close. If stress is something you relate to, if you look at your life and you think, yes, my cortisol is probably not ideal, the first thing I want you to do is get some objective data, because I feel stressed tells you something. But my cortisol is elevated at noon and crashed by 4 p.m. and my melatonin is suppressed tells you exactly what to do about it. The Dutch test is what I recommend to start with. It's done at home over 1 day through urine samples, and it gives you your complete cortisol curve, your sex hormones, your estrogen metabolism patterns, and your melatonin levels. It is the most complete picture of your hormonal environment available without a blood draw. You should not wait until you've failed multiple cycles and done multiple IVF rounds to get this information. If you are in the middle of your fertility journey and you haven't had this test done, it belongs on your to-do list. I have to tell you about Jillian. She came to us after being on this fertility journey for years and had very high cortisol levels that were impacting her progesterone after ovulation. Her progesterone was low. She was noticing it on her tracking app. She started working with us, and we found that the cortisol connection was impacted through her Dutch. 3 months into the protocol, stress regulation, blood sugar support, adaptogens, sleep optimization, her progesterone jumped from 5.6 to over 30. She was so excited, she posted it on her member community. And that shift in her hormonal environment, that's what opened the door to everything else working properly. This is what I want for you. Not just a supplement, not just a relaxation tip, a real picture of what's happening in your body and a real plan to address it. Let's bring this home. Stress is not just an emotional experience. It is a biological event that is happening in your eggs, in your follicles, in your mitochondria. The 2025 research gives us some of the clearest evidence we've had that chronic cortisol elevation is directly compromising the cellular environment where your eggs develop. But here's what I want you to hold on to. This is addressable. You are not powerless here. There are real, specific, testable, measurable things you can do to shift your cortisol pattern, support your HPA axis, protect your eggs from oxidative stress, and create a body that is genuinely capable of conception. You just need the right information and the right support to implement it. If you want that, if you're ready to stop guessing and start getting real answers, start with my free training, Why You Are Still Not Pregnant. It's in the description below. And it's going to give you a clear starting point no matter where you are right now. And if you're ready to go all the way, to have someone actually look at your case, your labs, your history, and build a real protocol around your specific root cause, apply for a fertility assessment discovery call with my team. The link is also in the description. Now, there is one more thing I want to make sure that you see. I've done a video on how to actually improve egg quality in 90 days with a step-by-step breakdown of exactly what to do at each phase of the process. If today's video opened a door for you, that one is going to walk you right through it. I'll put that right here for you. Watch it next. Until the next video, stay fertile and stay hopeful.